for the search for the Green Morgan. I can already hear the music playing as the titles roll for the film adaptation made by Peter Jackson.
Daniel Day-Lewis going around swap meets. I will find you!
Hello! You're listening to Talking At a Slot, the podcast about grown men having fun playing with toy cars. I'm Scott.
And I'm Nick.
Caught you by surprise here.
It did, didn't it? I forgot who I was for a minute.
When's he going to stop talking? So, which is a bit sad for a podcast to stop talking. Anyway, this week we are going to be talking about the search for the Green Morgan. That's going to become one of the great folklore myths of English history.
Yeah, I might have just imagined that car completely.
Well, that's perfect for a myth, isn't it? I mean, holy grails and all that, they don't necessarily really exist. So if you're wondering what the hell we're babbling on about, it's got to do with a car that I recently bought, which was a Morgan. And I thought, oh, great, I've got the two that need to be got. But Nick's mentioned another one. Do you want to tell what's the other? So I've just started to explain. I bought a yellow and black DeWalt one, which I'll show later.
Show us the car, Scott. Show us. Show us.
Dun, 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 rising skillfully. There we go. I'm not sure the camera could focus terribly well on it, but SCX Morgan Le Mans car. The aerodynamics of an inverted brick, I think, probably in reality. Now, I had a blue and silver one, which I know raced at Le Mans, and then this livery proclaims to have raced at Le Mans, so it must have done. And I thought that was it. But you mentioned there's another one with a bit of a history that I need to get. So I want to explain to the listeners.
Yes, so SCX, I think, unless I've completely imagined it, did a sort of an Aston Martin-y green, not the Aston Martin F1 team green, but a sort of a sagey green one with black wheels, which was driven by Jacques Lafitte in an GT championship. I think French GT, but who knows? But yeah, it's very smart. It's sort of sagey green, a bit matte, and it has silver bits on it. That is your winter mission to find that and complete your set of.
So it's the search for the Green Morgan. I can already hear the music playing as the titles roll for the film adaptation made by Peter Jackson.
Daniel Day-Lewis going around swap meets. I will find you.
Excellent. Brilliant. Yeah, the least likely, yes. We'll get Daniel Day-Lewis to yes. Right, anyway, this is going to, I think, T-shirts will be available, whatever. Save us from even more insanity. Tell us about your Subarus, Nick.
Yes. Well, it's been an eventful week in cheap Subaru land, in that, first of all, I decided, I want to have a quick one. I mean, they are actually quite quick.
You're still talking about slot cars, aren't you? Sorry.
Yes. Yes, that thought doesn't occur very often in the winter, let me tell you. I'm not putting the heating on. I'm not getting in the mood. And I'm going to start building Subarus instead. So I had a thought that I wanted a quick Subaru and cut the bottom of the chassis out to fit a slotted pod. And I did that, and I thought, oh, that's quite technical for you. So that all fitted, and drilled the holes for the screws, just about straight, and so put it all together, and then realised that, when you have these chassis with pods, the screws are recessed into the chassis. And of course, the Scalextric flat pan from the 90s has no recesses for screws. So without sort of that, this is why 3D chassis printers exist, because they need the recesses. That's the only thing I think that they're really bringing to the party, unless it's
countersunk screw hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems like it seems like a lot of effort.
I jest. I'm sure that all their little sort of spirally designs to make their chassis flex are incredibly gainful in terms of performance. But they do have recesses in which to put their screws so that they don't catch on the rails or fall out or anything else, which is the problem that I then found. Fortunately, it was a bitzer. It was sort of the leftover parts from my Colin McRae one that I did and some stuff that I gave to Lawrence to help him finish his. And it was just sort of a few bits of bodywork and an old chassis pan with nothing in it. So I tried that out. It didn't work. So any shabby remotored Subaru is going to have a short can motor like a standard Mabuchi because nothing else will fit. I can't put a nice long can motor in because I can't put a pod in, and I don't know how to re-engineer the clips that hold the motor in.
Okay.
Which is fine. So yeah, that's been going on. I just arrived this morning. This is almost literally an unboxing.
No. We don't do unboxing. Don't do unboxing.
The box is now gone. In fact, it wasn't a box. It was a rolled up piece of corrugated cardboard with tape on each end and screwed up bits of sort of paper, presumably from the owner's or the vendor's child's exercise book.
Okay.
Really, but then again, he did only charge £1.55 for post.
Well,
So
that's very good, actually. I think it's one of the additional treats of eBay buying is when you get that. Sometimes, unfortunately, the smell of the previous owner's accommodation. But often you get these bits of newspaper and things, and it's quite funny. What were they reading? What did they have to hand? Why was this? So it's just another little bit of archaeology along the way of unboxing the slot car.
Well, this one was advertised at £15, and I offered him 12 because it was or best offer. Buy it now £15 or make your best offer. So I offered him 12 English pounds, and he said no. And
was he French or not?
No, he wasn't actually. I'm not sure where he came from, but
for the purposes of the movie, he's French. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But it then came up again at £10. His starting price was £10, so I just bought it just to annoy him because he turned down my £12. Anyway, here it is.
Hey.
It is an complete silver Subaru set car, which is going to be painted white. But it came without a guide.
Oh, right, okay.
How does that happen?
That's why it went from 15 to 10.
Probably took it out. When he saw that I bought it, he took the guide out. I'll give you 12 quid, mate.
Yeah, in a French accent, obviously.
Oui. No, you don't need a French accent because I was watching the trailer yesterday for the new film about Napoleon.
Ah, right, okay. Yes.
Ridley Scott film.
To that.
Me too. And now seeing the trailer, very much so, because Joaquin Phoenix has not turned in a bad performance ever. And it looks quite fun, and there's lots of massive army fighting. So, yeah, let's have some of that, please. But not a trace of a French accent anywhere to be found. He is not sitting there going, huh? He's not.
Not tonight, Josephine.
No, he sounds pretty American, really.
Shock. Well, of course he was. This is going to betray an unnecessary level of knowledge that I've picked up from another podcast. He was Corsican, very proud Corsican, and the Corsican accent isn't very French, and so he wouldn't have sounded French. So maybe that's what. Maybe in the course of rehearsal, when
not sure he sounded Californian though.
I'm just trying to help.
I made that mistake actually on the Acropolis a couple of weeks ago because I said, my best friend's married to a Greek chap, and she said, hold on. And I thought he was going to say, your best friend, she, because, blokes tend to do that. And then it was like, he's married to Greek. Where's he from? I was like, Cyprus. Oh, he's not Greek. No, he's not Greek. No.
Not properly Greek. No. Yeah, there's a whole. Yeah, I think they still haven't resolved that little territorial dispute, have they?
Well, yes, but he's from the bit that is Greek, proudly.
Well,
Greek.
yeah. I mean, one of the unfulfilled things of my career was I get to dip into geopolitics. So for those who don't know, there's oh, is it? Sorry, I'm confusing it with Cyprus. Is it Cyprus that's divided? Which one is divided?
Cyprus
in two?
is divided.
Divided in two. Sorry, there you go. I'm failing to listen properly. Anyway, I'll start telling the tale. In the middle, war-torn island, or divided, so half Greek, half Turkish, banned down the middle, implemented by the UN in 1970 something or other. And in the middle of that is a town. Which until not whether it's still working, I don't know. There was a light bulb still on in a flat sort of thing. But the reason I was interested in it was there was a Toyota dealership which still had a showroom full of cars, and a measure of how long ago it was still in that slightly nappy poo, greeny brown colours, that sort of thing from the early 70s. So there was Celica, Corolla, a couple of other things. And the notion was that when time came right and people could re-enter this demilitarized zone sort of thing, you would just put some fuel in, hook up a battery, and these things would fire up because in the middle of, albeit it's in the middle of an island, but it's a hot climate, it's fairly dry, so these things had not rusted away. However, even though I worked at Toyota for 25 years, no one is so fit to end the political dispute. So they're still sitting there, as far as I know.
It's like when we went on holiday, we went on honeymoon to Malta, and the number of British Leyland vehicles from the mid to late 70s that are pottering around still. And you're thinking, hold on, this is an island the size of the Isle of Wight, surrounded by one of the saltier seas in the world. Why are they still here? But no, absolutely mint.
I guess they don't get wet very often. So you need salt and water, don't you? So anyway, how did we get to Malta? Anyway, meanwhile, back. So the Subaru, you're going to do 4. You've painted 2.
I've painted 2. I bought another one last night. Lawrence, you see, Lawrence sort of. He bought 2 cars from a set. He bought because he wanted a Focus, which he's going to put a 3D chassis under for Slot Rally GB.
Okay. We should explain that Lawrence is a chap who goes to the Farnborough Park Slotcar Club.
Indeed. And he drives into the back of my car whenever I'm having my own accident, and then accuses me of taking him off and gets very humpy about it. But yes, so. There was much debate about this last night because he did it not once but twice. I was having an accident on my own, and he sort of just decided to pile into it. He could have waited. He could have just driven past me. No, drive into it, lose points, and then grumble about me nerfing him off when I was actually nerfing myself, and he just was an innocent bite. Well, not so innocent, actually, because it was all going to happen. So there we are. Yeah. Think yourself told, Lawrence.
We'll offer you right. We'll offer you right to reply, Lawrence. Don't worry.
Yeah, quite. Well, he's driving me to Wales for the Wye Valley rally the weekend next weekend, and he's like, you might be in Wales longer than you were planning.
I was going to say, do you like Swindon services? Yeah.
He got the Focus, and it came with a red Subaru. Which apparently is a rare one because it's the number 5. Don't care, it's going to get repainted. This was a silver one. Up and this one actually goes with the other chassis, but I just put the other chassis under the other body. So this one will be the yellow and API sponsored one Agini drove on Rally Lana, which MSC produced as a livery. And then there was a 1/32 scale decal set going for pennies on eBay, so I bought it to put onto one of these cars because I think it's pretty. And I don't think you can ever have enough Italian rally cars because they always look cool. Let's do that national stereotyping. Anything Italians do looks very cool.
But even an Italian Japanese car.
Yeah, because it's the livery.
Okay.
It's an Italian Japanese car styled by an Englishman.
Yeah, it gets more complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's nice. I think it's nice. So I'm going to put that livery onto the white one, and then we have the Dayglow horror show
Okay,
that
put your
is here.
sunglasses on, folks. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It's not getting any darker. So this is Halford's fluorescent paint, which is really cheap. It's like same size can as all the other paints. But paint has now gone. When I started repainting before COVID, it was like $7.99, $8.99 a can. It's now $13.99 a can. I mean, are they having to get their paint from China using a, I don't know, Russian flying service or something? And yeah, I don't know. The excuses people get for hiking their prices in the wake of COVID. It's not, we're not. There's a grain shortage because of Ukraine. I don't think that there's a Melbourne red BMW spray can shortage because of what's going on in Ukraine. So this is just rampant profiteering. And so, yeah, fortunately, the fluorescent paints haven't suffered the same fate as the branded colours. And so that was really cheap to do. And yeah, it looks a bit cheap. I mean, it is a weird livery. Some lights, the spotty bits look red. Sometimes they look fluorescent, and sometimes they just look orange. I'm going with the orange because that works with the decals. So there we are. It's a bit weird. One of those sort of national rally championships after everyone's forgotten about the car and the bloke's just sort of painted it himself, I think. And that's okay. It stands out, and I want to have 4 cars to the same spec that we can use at the club. So that's my green one. The white car with the yellow bits on will be the yellow one. I've got another white car to do with red bits on, which is the Valencia livery that Louis Clement drove. And then the blue one will be E. Leclerc livery. So it's quite cool, actually. It's the Subaru blue with a pale blue sort of splashed over it, a white stripe down the middle, and an orange circle. And E. Leclerc is like the Currys / Dixons of France, apparently.
Yeah, well, it's one of the brand names I always remember from trips to France. Yeah, Leclerc. I thought they were just a supermarket, but yeah, maybe they are a kind of.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been in one.
There is a livery for a Carrefour.
Which is a supermarket, yes.
Which is a supermarket, and it's one that we use when we go on holiday, so I was sort of quite tempted to that. But then it's just the word Carrefour in blue, and they wanted like £23 for a set of decals. I'm like, sorry, that's just a word.
And you, yes, and you were complaining about the price of paint.
Yeah, exactly. Although Halfords be told.
You sound as... It sounds like we should have a special feature running, paint watch, kind of the index.
What's made Guts grumpy this week?
That we can, we can track the price of a basic slot car set, through time. That can be an index, of course, but also for the tuners among you, or the scratch builders among you. The paint
we did
costs.
sort of look at it, didn't we, a while ago, because we were just randomly talking about it. And actually, coming back to the hobby in 2002, and cars were $25.99. And now certainly Scalextric cars are $25.99, and now they're $53.99. And actually, that's completely in line with inflation.
Rather worryingly, isn't it? That's a dreadful thing. It's
in 21 years, that's quite sad.
When I started, so about 2 years ago or so, when I started buying again, I had in my head that slot cars were about 25 quid. And that's why I was really appalled and amazed at how much. And I sort of mentally thought, well, I'm not buying anything that's more than 30 quid. That's just ridiculous. And as I've slowly gone through the crates of stuff that I've got, that I bought back then, I'm finding things, and you see a price tag on it, and you think, yes, this will be, subconsciously thinking this will be cheap. And I look, it says 35, 30. And I'm thinking, I obviously just blocked out that I was spending that kind of money on slot cars. They were just 25 quid, and that was it. But, well, this if I can return.
Speaking of bargains of that nature, hello, it's back again.
This was a bit of a bargain. It came in its box,
right?
It kind of looked like it hadn't been run. Tires are all great, etc. And that was 30 quid. So I thought that was rather good in the day and age of the £53 new slot car.
Strong.
But Anyway, bargains.
What
Bargains?
do you? It's Orpington this weekend. You're almost definitely going. I am very possibly going. Although I just know I'm going to come back with Subaru.
There are more Subaru. What I was going to say before we moved on to I'm glad you're doing them in something other than the blue with gold wheels, because I think it's one of the most off-putting thing when you watch sort of 90s rides, just the endless, and we go to car meets and there's a rows and rows of blue Subarus with gold wheels, and you just think, okay, just can we paint it another colour, because I'm sure there must have been some, but so I'm glad you're doing that in Dayglow.
I know. It was it was almost sort of the Ferrari of rallying, wasn't it? The blue and yellow.
Well, everybody else, but I never saw it that way.
I know you're a Toyota person, so for you it has to be white, green, and red. And I'm a Skoda person, so it has to be white, green, and red. But there was something that was quite cool about the Subaru blue and yellow at RAC time. My friend from school went to university up north, and the rally would pass through there. He bought, because obviously the teams, actually they still do, the World Rally teams sort of sell their team kit as merch. And he bought a Subaru jacket and went to a nightclub when the rally was coming through town and said that he was with the team. Massive hit with the ladies. So if there are any, where are we now? Sort of nearly 30-year-olds looking for a parent up north.
Oh dear.
Yes.
It's a sort of slightly muddy and damp version of I'm with the band, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, basically. That's it worked for him.
Well, good. I'm glad that's best left uncommented on. I think probably what I should say.
But the blue and yellow does work. It was kind of cool and kind of iconic. But yeah, there were some really interesting paint jobs, and so working with historic rally cars at the moment, the colours that people paint them in are sort of intriguing in themselves. Like there's a guy, Tibor Erdi from Hungary, who's got a Ford Sierra 4x4 Cosworth, so the Sapphire, and he's managed to paint it in the sort of purple with lightning that was on the Ford Pumas last year, on the M Sport cars, and he has built his own company logos into that scheme.
Well, it's like let's see, Revo Slot this week have announced some more Porsche GT1s,
right?
And I think one of them is in. So one of them's in what would be a 917 livery, so silver martini from 1971.
Oh no!
And
surely there's enough actual liveries.
Well, you would think, but maybe they've done them. I don't know. And so I'm still not sure. I think so. A real Porsche livery on another Porsche, I think, is all right somehow or other. But I don't know why I think that's all right. But then if you put, I don't know, just seems odd to me. But anyway,
back to Pink Pig 997 NSR. No.
Don't you? Yeah, don't you? Don't you say nasty things about pink pigs? Don't you?
No. I like pink pigs.
It looks very unpink on the camera.
I quite like the pink pig Moby Dick that Sideways did.
Well, again, so this one passes my nitpicky threshold because it's a real car. They really did paint a real car that way and race it, so that's fine. But obviously, nobody painted a Moby Dick.
No, they didn't.
Again, I mean, how can you? It's crossbreeding, isn't it? Pigs and whales. It just doesn't work. So
no, this is true because it would be a drowned pig for one thing. Sorry, edit that one out. Yeah, but I repainted a Scalextric Porsche 996 in pink pig because that was from Belcar. It had competed in the Belgian National GT Championship in pink pig colours, and I think it was Pato did a decal sheet for that, and I thought, yeah, why not? So I did, and it was really quite nice. And then I sold it.
Oh, well, that's okay. I mean, that's a good question. Do you enjoy doing them more than having them? Or is that
No, I don't enjoy doing them. I really don't.
I'm laughing because you spend every waking hour painting slot cars.
Yeah, I know, and it's just because people won't make the cars that I want, so I have to do it myself. Yeah, so yeah, I like the finished product, and I like driving them. I don't like doing them, and I certainly don't like selling them because then I regret it about 3 months later.
Yeah, I haven't sold any slot cars ever, and I
Ever.
need to ever. No, no. There's stuff that I just happily should get rid of, but I can't quite bring myself to do it. So because I think once, say there's half a dozen bits of junk that I sell that I never run and don't want anyway, so no loss. But I just think if I cross that threshold once I've started, then where will it stop? I'll
Yeah.
start trying to argue that I've got to get rid of all my old. Anyway, whatever. Speaking of selling, translating it into buying, it's Orpington. We're both going to
Yes.
Orpington, and a terrible thought struck me that we should probably do like bargain hunt. You wear red, I'll wear blue, and we go around with a budget to spend. 10 quid. No, a bit more than 10 quid.
I can do that. As long as I'm in and out early, I'll do an early doors bargain hunt for sure.
I will see what we can accumulate for a set of money.
Yeah.
That gives us a purpose.
I've got added incentive not to spend anything because I've been thinking, if I don't go to Orpington, what could that potential slot car fund go towards? And I'm leaning towards the Scale Auto Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5 of the inline variety, because the decal sheet for Richard Burns's car 1998 Catalunya is available, which is an easy switch to the 1998 Network Q Rally of Great Britain, aka RAC Rally, as it was still called by most people in 1998.
Proper name, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it even had Rally GB at the time. I think it was just the Network Q Rally. And Richard won it, and I used to help a bit with his PR. And I was there to launch the Skoda Octavia World Rally car, and having done that, because we didn't have any Skodas competing that anyone was going to pay me to do the PR for, I went home. So I was listening on the radio to Richard Burns driving into the lead on the first morning through epic fog. And I think Mackinnon crashed out, didn't he, early on the first day? Anyway, certainly 1998, I was listening to the radio in my Skoda Felicia, my mighty Skoda Felicia, which that year was a 1.6 petrol engine, because I'd had the 1.3 in my first year, and I had the 1.9 unturbocharged diesel in my second year. And then finally, year 3, Nirvana, the 1.6 GLXI, fully branded with all the rally car stickers on it.
Excellent.
Yes. Yeah. But we had successfully launched the Octavia WRC and announced Armin Schwartz would be driving the thing. Mm-hmm. And then off I toddled back to Flam, which is in Southwest 6.
I'm very fond of the Octavia WRC car, but of course it didn't have a very auspicious start, did it, at Monte Carlo?
No.
I think it didn't quite make it from.
It didn't start, did it?
I think it broke down from the ceremonial ramp to the actual start. I don't think it got out of Monaco.
Yeah. Well, by the time the thing was in action, I had moved on. I was at Ford, and my old boss Johnny Gill was looking after things and more hands-on because I wasn't there. And I remember he said that the car was a bit rubbish, and there was only one thing that it was really good at, and so they went and they got the longest jump in Portugal. On the Faro thing when they measure it. And it was like, I'll just chuck it at the jump and see. The worst thing that can happen is it'll break, and it might be the best thing. And it didn't break, but they did get the longest jump.
I think it's the last era of lots of unusual cars could be rally cars. So the fact that there was Subaru was a 2-door coupe with a boot, you had hatchbacks, you had a 5-door, 4-door saloon. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was a hatchback, wasn't it? Even though it looked like a saloon.
And a Hyundai Accent.
And the Honda Accent, yeah, there's a very humble beginning for that. What became a
You still see them. You see quite a lot of them in Greece, and you look at them and go, "How did anyone think I can make this sexy?"
Well, it was it MCD? Was it? It was
Yes,
British
it was.
Rally Preparers, probably on a shoe. I don't know the facts. I'm sure it was on a shoestring, and it was. They probably went to a local importer and said, "If you give us a few quid, we can go and do this." And
Oh no, it was certainly a big central thing, because nothing happens at Hyundai without because it's still a family-owned company. And
really?
the reason why the reason why they still went back to WRC in 2013 to start in 14 was the fact that the chairman, or the son of the chairman, is a massive WRC fan. The other great interest that they have is in polar expedition, which is why I hooked up with them a couple of years ago, because they were the first company to drive a standard road car to the South Pole.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll argue about you that off here. A standard road car.
On big inflatable wheels, but it was a standard road car.
Yeah. So yeah. Right, yeah.
It was driven by Ernest Shackleton's great-great-grandson.
Not a standard road car. Anyway, moving on from Brad, I don't know why I'm doing, because the listeners and viewers hopefully will remember the Top Gear Polar Hilux program, where a big red truck went to a variation on the North Pole. It was the magnetic North Pole,
Right.
And that was one of my big projects when I was there. And we built 2 big red trucks, which went along just in case one of them broke or fell down a crevasse or whatever. And very, very wisely, I think, I chose not to go and spend 3 weeks living in sub-zero temperatures with Clarkson, Hammond and May, and sent the then young chap who worked for me rather than go along myself. So I happily watched the programme and signed off the bill. We had to charter getting the cars built and getting them there. We had to do it so far ahead they sailed in which of course that had to happen in summer. They weren't ready in time, so we had to fly them in. So we had to charter a C-130 Hercules transport, military transport, which landed, didn't stop the engines, they unloaded sort of some gear, turned round and left. Because if they stopped the engines, they would have been stuck. It would have been too cold. So I was very glad I didn't go now. Anyway, enough of all that. But actually, having said enough of all of that, slot car manufacturers and Scalextrics, I'm looking at you. Polar Hilux, big wheels, television famous trucks. Let's get on with it.
Where's Ninko when you need them?
Yeah.
My shopping basket. So it has it's also got some Slotting Plus tyres, which is a new brand for me. I've not invested in their stuff.
Okay, and why are you choosing to try Slotting Plus tyres?
Because it's made for Ninko track, and our club track is Ninko track. And also, it's they've done it so they are like the cut slicks. They've got the little diagonals and going in opposite ways every alternate thing. So it'll look quite cool as well. But Slotting Plus, everyone keeps raving about Slotting Plus whenever they're mentioned. Sort of like they've made one car in their lives complete, and it was a Reynard 2K LMP thing. Heinously ugly, but apparently it's the quickest slot car ever built or something. Production RTR slot. And now they've always sold bits. It's like when Slottit first started, because Slottit was making bits to make your Scalextric stuff go quicker, and then Maurizio went, I know, I'll make a Porsche 956. Oh no, he didn't. He made the Audi R8C, didn't he? Because it was the prettiest car ever designed, he thought. I think he's wrong, but
yeah, well, it's yes, it's all right. It's all right.
But yeah, so they made their reputation with parts, and I've never had any of their parts, and tyres are easy to put on, so I'll have some of their tyres.
Well, my guilty confession is I had some visitors round a couple of weeks ago, and there was a very strong possibility they would want to go out into the slot shed. And I thought I better tidy up a bit. This is slightly embarrassing. So I had lots of tyres in various little tubs and bags and just lying around. And not giving myself enough time, I just scooped them all up and put them in a carrier bag. so I've now got a slightly tidier workbench, but the task of going rummage. I'm sure I've got two of those. But the search still goes on for, and in fact, run down in Orpington might be the way to do it. Sort of standard SCX rally ribbed tyre replacement. I got some in the past, but that seller doesn't have them anymore. So I need a bucket load of those.
Well, funnily enough, Slotting Plus also did exact replacements for SCX tyres, but they seem to have sold out everywhere, and they don't make them anymore. They're on their website still. Slotting Plus has a website, and it's got lots of products which they no longer make.
Yeah, small companies' websites are never the best source of accurate information.
No, this is true.
So, and I can understand it because
what else are you going to look for then on Sunday?
Oh,
a Green Morgan and some replacement SCX tyres.
I think if I find the Green Morgan in open air, just lying there in the street, as it were, then that's going to be disappointing. There's no real saga involved. I think we need. I
could have just completely imagined that this car ever existed. Of course, there is that possibility.
Well, in which case you're going to have to make me one. You're going to have to do the decals and paint it and all that sort of thing because you've raised expectations now. Yeah, I don't know is the honest answer. So, I mean, I'm hoping for a Mirage to come from Scalextric at some point, and what else is there due from there?
We still haven't got the Rothmans Holden out, have we?
No, that's true. That's also on that must be, given that the Aussies have got their various versions, haven't they? So
yeah. Have we got the Jag police car yet? The Mark 1, because they did Mark 1 and a Mark 2, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, those ones. I think because I've written them off as I'm not buying those, I don't know is the short answer. They are not on my radar. I think one of the good things about going to swap meets is milling around and then just finding something you think, oh, that's a bit of I want one of those, or I didn't realise I wanted one of those till I saw it 2 minutes ago. Orpington's usually quite good for things like tyres because there's people bring some of the tyre specialists bring all sorts of stuff.
It's the one for old bits, isn't it? Like old cars, unloved, old men,
old
tyres. Yeah. Hopefully some Scalextric wheels. I want that man with his little pots of wheels to be there.
Well, I have a wheel calamity because I have many team slot Lancia Stratoses, which can be rough as old Watsits or can be smooth as anything and run beautifully. And the latter ones tend to be that way. Anyway, I got a checkered flag livery one, so the black and white.
Oh yeah,
it's very nice, runs very well. And the front wheel came off the axle, and I thought, fine, just happens. I'll just put it back on. And I put it back on, and it was loose, and the hub had sort of cracked. But it was just a little piece, and I thought, I'm going to carefully glue that, and thank God it's the front wheel. And in the course of gluing it, another piece kind of came off. It was almost like it was sort of dissolving rather. Anyway, so it sat on the table, going, how am I going to fix this? Because the reason it's significant is that all the other Stratos have got the same 5-spoke wheels. But the checkered flag one has got what I would call a Fiat wheel, much more fussy design. So I can't even sort of nick one from something else. And having looked on, for cheap parts and all that sort of thing, guess what? Those wheels are not available. So I have to come up with some kind of rescue on this wheel. But I can't imagine anybody's going to have... Well, again, if someone has one lying there, I'll be delighted. But
yeah, quite. Franco had a similar problem last night because he decided he was going to debut his Renault 5 Maxi Turbo, which is a team slot one. And the hub broke and it had already been glued and it was not going to be glued again, or if it was going to be sort of diamond shape. So he got a little bit sad about that. But I did say that you can probably get those wheels from Pendle. Other stockists are available.
They're very Italian, they're very kind of a lot of 70s Italian, they're very sort of fussy, etc. But so yeah,
you mean cool and chic is
cool,
as
cool,
we were just discussing earlier about Subaru liveries. If it's Italian, it's a lot cooler.
It's a lot cooler. Yeah. Well, it's like the old thing about that. Hearing things in Italian. My favourite was because, of course, I'll say it wrong, but quattro figlioli, is that the right way of saying it? So it sounds like fantastic. So it's this is a badge on the back of a car, and you think it just means green clover leaf, 4-leaf clover, basically. Yeah. That's all it says. So if you did that in English, if you had an MG 4-leaf clover, you'd go, that's a bit naff. Because it's in Italian, this is fantastic. But I think
I'm still grieving for my Alpha 147. Which I got rid of at the beginning of the year because there was no way in hell it was going to be ULEZ worthy. Okay. And the door had fallen off. I mean, it's the only car that's ever happened to me. I opened the door and it just dropped off. 2009 Alpha 147. I was trying to figure out because I couldn't afford to get it done. I took it to an Alpha specialist and he was like, "Oh my God." And like the part, you have to order from Italy and it takes weeks and weeks and weeks. And it was not just the pin that holds the door on, it was the whole thing had just sort of sheared. It wasn't corroded or anything, it just broken. And it was going to cost quite a lot of money. So I drove it with Gorilla Tape holding the door on. Getting in and out the passenger side for about 8 weeks. Yeah.
And you sold it? How much did you sell it for?
I sold it to We Buy Any Car.
We picked the pictures from one side, obviously.
Yes, who offered me a price and then gave me a third of it. Because that's what they do.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh well, we need a consumer. That's for Consumer Affairs show. You tell me.
I should try doing that. I should get people to sell me slot cars that way. Oh, I think that's worth about 40 quid. Here's 12.
Good, yeah.
Take it and be happy.
I think you might end up with a broken nose if you tried that sort of thing. A slot car. I don't see it going down well. With don't try it at Orpington. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Right, I think we probably should wrap up because I can't remember the thing I wanted to talk about now because I'm old and I forget things. It'll come back to me. Can't have been very interesting or important. There you go. It was about wheels falling off Stratoses and I'm slightly depressed about that. Of all the Stratos. Anyway.
It wasn't whales and pigs anyway, that's the main thing.
Whales and pigs, any other cross animal, what do you call it? Chimera. That's what that is, isn't it?
Is it?
When you mix two animals together, I believe it's a chimera. So, I mean, I wouldn't pick a whale and a pig because I think I'm not sure what attributes you're looking for. I mean, seriously big rashers of bacon. I mean, you can fill a whole baguette just with one run. But that aside, I don't really see the benefit. Anyway, we're going completely mad, so we'll probably stop. We'll say goodbye. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.